So, this is episode 4 of Fizzy Brain. Good evening and, hello, I'm Aubrey Blakeledge and welcome to Fizzy Brain, which is a stream podcast vanity project thing where I'm talking about how I do things creatively from the viewpoint of a fizzy-brained bard wizard creature, telling those that keep me on the road how I stay on the road and what I'm doing, and also showing you and sharing with you the lengths that I go to avoid doing any actual relevant work. As always, this podcast is split into 2 parts. One, what I'm meant to be working on, as in like projects to do with the actual gigging work that I'm doing or the writing. And then part 2 is what I actually end up doing, which is sometimes slightly related to the first section. But don't hold out your hopes. That normally is not what happens. So as we go through, we'll talk about what I've been up to and such, and then hopefully, and at the end of the stream, we'll have a little chat, and I'll go through the chat and answer questions as we're going along. Because this is not like the normal Aubrey Storytime chat, I do chat to the chat, for those of you who haven't joined before. And for those of you who are on stream, I know this can be a bit annoying for someone that's trying to, obviously, who can see the chat and know when I read it out. That's quite sort of frustrating. But bear in mind, I'm recording this for several audiences at once, so if I just randomly reply to what's being said in the chat, it will sound strange. So bear with me as I audio descript the living fuck out of this. There's the first swearing. If you're drinking along with the swear words, that's a fuck for you. Oh, there's 2. Right. Put down the tea, Aubrey. For those of you who are interested, I am currently drinking Earl Grey, loose leaf Earl Grey, which is rather nice. So, what am I currently working on? Well, I'm still working on the Woodland Gothic tracks. The lyrics to Sometimes Always Never almost had a bit of a breakthrough. I was writing about, there's a song about waistcoat etiquette, which sadly, I thought I got a bit of a breakthrough. Then things happened and the lyrics came to a stop. But the other song I was working on, which I played last week, which was Come Back, has been trundling along quite nicely. And I've played it at a couple of shows, and the acoustic ballad version seems to be going rather well. So this, I think, is going to start entering my regular set. For those of you who don't know, Come Back is basically a Christmassy power ballad where in the middle of the song I accidentally summon Lemmy to come back and save the world. Now, this made me think about how I could sort of make this thing live when I play around, more entertaining. Because I thought what I need to do is get a Lemmy costume, and then we basically get someone to lie on the floor, possibly on a towel, because stage floors are horrific, and then we can, as a group, summon Lemmy back to life, and then have him wreak havoc across the show while we all just yell Ace of Spades randomly while I try and sing the song. I think that could be a great stage show thing. Of course, will be a complete shambles. It will either be amazing or it will be a shambles, which are the 2 settings that I quite like when it comes to doing things on stage. So, smashing. I think that's one of those things we can actually do. So just quickly checking the chat before we continue, because I do get distracted very easily. Have I ever listened to the movement patterns of the ISS? It sounds like depressing, geeky music. I haven't, but you know what? I will, because that sounds great. And also a follow-up comment regarding what I said earlier about audio descriptions. Well, to be fair, you have a visually impaired viewer, so sometimes this is helpful. Okay, well, if it's helpful, I'll keep doing the audio description thing as well. If we're drinking every time we swear, I might need another pot of tea. Yes, because I think I nearly run out of mine. I was going to drink rum on the air, but I realised I was, as much as I'm with you guys, I think if I start drinking heavily, my face will fall off. And it was very nice rum, so I drink it very fast. So I am on the Earl Grey. It is strongly brewed Earl Grey, so I may be off of my tits later on. And I'll come up to a story about that later on as well. Not necessarily Earl Grey, but when I came face to face with a caffeine demon and it went a bit sideways. But anyway, so stuff that I'm actually meant to be working on. I've completed booking the acts for the Return of the Awkward Strawberry. The headline acts have all been sorted out. I've been also making posters for the Awkward Strawberry Tour. This is a basic little club night thing that I do where I bring in, originally it was musical comedy, now it's sort of bringing acts from all the different circuits I've worked with, from the guys from the folk scene, the underground scene, the local Southampton scene, also some of the guys from the steampunk scene, some of the con scenes and stuff like that, and trying to bring people together with an audience that can sort of dig their stuff on a day that isn't very good for gigging because people don't like taking a risk for it. So it's on Thursdays. So the idea is that an audience that knows that what they're going to see is good are going to trust us to put money on it, and then the bands who normally have problems getting gigs on Thursdays will have a place they can call home. So it's sort of helping everyone out. So I've got the acts sorted out, I've got the posters sorted out, so I'm going to start advertising that rather soon, actually, and getting the events and the tickets up and such. I think I said before, to Patreons, you actually get free entry to that. So if you want to come to those shows, you just let me know and I'll put you on the guest list, kind of thing. If you're interested in getting in for free, join my Patreon. Anyway, so there's that which I'm really excited. So that's going to be the 14th of February in Southampton, the 15th of February in London, if you're going to be around about. The dates and such will come up more often when I advertise it. 3rd of April, then it's basically the last Thursday of every month. So the first Thursday of every month, beg your pardon. 3rd of April, 1st of May, 5th of June, 3rd of July, and the 7th of August. And I'm really excited because the guys we've got put together, there's a bit of variation between the acts, but it fits and it works in a sort of, it makes sense that they're together, but we'll give you something different, so it's not all the same thing. Which is great. So I need to also start advertising, and this is one thing that fell by the wayside when I was doing those posters. I was meant to be doing some stuff for the house shows that I'm meant to be booking in January and February. I've got a couple of the bookings sorted, but I need to get the bloody posters done. But I suggested the idea of just standing in Mike's garden, Mike from the Sweet Chunks band, and just taking photographs of me looming in your garden. And the poster simply says, "Would you like me in your garden? Phone this number," that sort of thing. Or if you're cold inside, Aubrey's cold outside, invite them inside. They might play a gig, that kind of thing. So I'm still playing around with that. I've got to do that. I've fallen behind on that. Again, talking a little bit about Patreons, I've been trying to sort of organise news a bit better because I realise I do post a lot of stuff for the Patreon guys and also on social media, including to the free guys on Patreon as well. So I don't spam the group. I'm keeping news to sort of a monthly kind of thing. These are the dates, pinning it at the top, then December, January, February. And I need to do that for the Sweet Chunks Patreon as well. So there's going to be that kind of updates. Keeping on top of everything is a pain in the backside, but it needs to be done and is actually helpful for you guys. So it also has given me reason to sort of get down and actually do the work. And the blue Aubrey badges. This was the last thing I was working on from the last stream we had. I've already put up a little poll kind of thing in the Patreon, and I got a few responses already. It's sort of split between two designs pretty much. I'm going to post in the chat at the end because I haven't been able to get it sorted out. I need to dig it out while we're chatting later on for you guys who are here live on the stream to have a look at. If you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to attach some links. But actually, probably by the time the podcast comes out, I've already chosen the design. So don't worry. If this is the future and you're possibly looking at a blue Aubrey badge, this is how it was created, with the Patreons and the streamers coming together to create some strange ideas. So potentially it's between two designs. And it'll either be one of the chair ones and one of the fox ones, because of course I did have some people suggesting, put it out as a poll to everyone on social media. But it's one of those things of if you get asked too many people, you start just getting it then becomes it's a legitimate way of advertising and drawing people in and go, look at this is what we're doing, blah 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 blah. But I don't want it to be that. I actually genuinely want to ask people's opinions of what they think is better. And if you have loads of people, you get a sort of detached kind of thing. But if it's a small group of people like you guys at the moment, because let's face it, this stream is very, very new and very small, and it's a select group of nutters that are listening, God bless all of you, and the same with the Patreons, then I can sort of get a more kind of, you guys will tell me your opinion kind of thing, rather than just going, yeah, it's all great kind of thing, if you know what I mean. Or I'm just overthinking it. So those are the things I'm meant to be working on. Music, booking acts, posters, news, and making badges. So what have I actually been up to? Well, I'm still brewing the gin, which is going well. So I've got my my blackberry gin, my blackcurrant gin, and my gooseberry gin. It's gotten to the point where as he goes downstairs and get his gooseberry gin. So for those brewing along at home, we've gone from the stage of every day shaking the sugar within the demijohn to brew it, where to the stage now where it only gets shaken vigorously once a week, and it's effectively ready to go now. But so the longer I leave it in now, the fruitier it gets, the more the alcohol goes into the goods, and it looks really quite cool. It's like a strange sort of drunken lava lamp of fruit at the moment, which I quite like. And do a little sample. If you've got a drink in your hand, raise it up. I'm just going to sample my gooseberries. Oh. That is, yes. Every week it keeps getting better. You have to remember with that stuff that it's not a liqueur. It is very strong. And it is very nice. So I'm excited to drink that at New Year's. It's not going to survive New Year's. There's about 1.5 litres of gin in there. That will not survive the night because it is far too tasty. But yeah, I mean that's a simple little thing. I'm not sure if I actually put the recipe up on the chat or anything for the gin. If you'd like the gin recipe, put it in the chat and I'll add it at the end, and you can go through and have a look. If you're listening to this in the podcast, I'll try to remember to put it in the description. If I haven't put it in the description, give me a message and I'll put it in the description. Marvellous. Having to remember this future tense and past tense and who I'm talking to and all these different things. It's like being on the radio, but with people yelling back at you. I did for the vegan. Yes. From the chat, I did put the vegan Bailey's recipe up because we're going to make that in the next show, actually. I just realised. But I haven't done a gin one. What I'll do then is, if you guys want it, I'll put it now. If not, I'll put it up on the vegan. And the puffins have arrived. Sorry, ongoing joke with a couple of mates about puffins and the strange noises they make. That will be a continual thing. Yes, instead of puffins, Helene, hello. Yes, hello, Edward. So, actually, that's neatly comes on to the what we're doing on the Christmassy show kind of thing next week for the Fizzy Brain. I'm going to put the how to make the we're going to do what's it, not a bake along, what is it, mix along, I suppose. We're going to make some vegan Baileys during the stream next week, which will be quite good fun because then it's ready for Christmas. I was thinking about saving it to the New Year's one. I might, if necessary, I might do it again. I don't know. But I want to get one done for Christmas because I need more for Christmas. So if I have some, then you guys have some. We can all make it together. So the Alchemy with Aubrey. Yes, we're going to do booze alchemy. That's basically what this stream has featured more advice about booze making than actually making music. And you know what? That's the whole point of the Fizzy Brain stream. It's that kind of, this is what my life is like. It's more booze. I'm more booze than man. And so I got confused. I was trying to read something in the chat and my brain just went dead. Beg your pardon. So, yes, so we've got the Bailey's recipe. That is going to be into the chat. In fact, I will do that now because why not? Let's strike while the iron is hot. If you want to join in next week and brew along and do Booze Alchemy with Aubrey, you will need the following ingredients. I'm going to read it out to you, and that's just going into the chat now. So you will need 80 milliliters of whiskey. Obviously, as it's traditionally Irish cream. Jameson's is a really nice one. I actually use Famous Grouse, proving that even the gist of blended whiskies can taste fantastic if you don't know what to do with it. But I'm not a purist. Just use some whiskey that you like that isn't the home brand stuff. So stuff that you can get in a pub, I think is the minimum standard. So 80 ml of that, 2 tablespoons of instant coffee. And what you're going to do with that is you're going to not pour it. You know what? I'm not going to tell you the recipe. We're going to make it. So you just need 2 tablespoons of instant coffee. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 400 milliliters of oat milk. You can do this with almond milk, and you can do it with coconut milk, but I find that almond milk, as much as it's really nice, is really nutty, and coconut milk makes everything taste of coconut, and it'll undermine the flavour. Oat milk is the most sort of blank, if that makes sense, so you can work with that. Some vegan double cream. I used the Flora stuff. You can use regular double cream as well, but then just buy Bailey's, which is the vegan thing. If you just want to watch me bake it, you don't have to, but yeah. So vegan double cream, I use the Flora stuff, surprisingly cheap, about the same price as regular double cream, to give it a bit of texture. 60 milliliters of maple syrup. You can use agave, but I find the idea of agave is just really overly sugary, and also you have to get it in all the way from Mexico, and it's one of those things about like vegan foods that is environmentally disastrous. But then again, I'm getting maple syrup, which is from Canada, so it's not much better. I did try honey once, but the thing is, the honey messes with the consistency, and the problem is when it gets cooled, it sort of congeals in different periods, and if you don't really mix it in, it's a pain in the backside. So of all of them, for the best sort of all-rounder, maple syrup. You can use golden syrup, but it's very, 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 very sugary. So if you don't want to get maple, because it's quite expensive, use half the amount of golden syrup. But that's up to you. So yeah, so your whiskey, instant coffee, vanilla extract, oat milk, vegan double cream, maple syrup, and a blender, and some ice as well to make it refreshing. So we'll do that next week. I will put that in the chat, and also I'm going to put that onto the video description or the podcast description, however you're listening to it, so you can make it at home, or just tune into next week and see me do it. There we go. Okay, brilliant. All those bits and pieces. So we just got from Smoke and Hide. Maple may be from Canada, but agave just destroys everything before the transit even starts. This is the interesting thing. So the way that's worded, I completely know what you mean, but you make it sound like the agave plant, as in the cacti, are going around destroying everything, which sounds metal as fuck, quite frankly. And if it turned out that was the case, and the reason we don't like using agave is because mutant cacti are twatting the people of Mexico and other South American countries are of course available, that we don't do it in solidarity of the Mexican people, then that would be cool. But it's not. It's terrible land management, all that bollocks. And I don't really like the flavour. It comes down to that as well. I mean, some people, it's the environmental impact, the ethical impact and such as well. But I do think, you have to comment on the flavour. All that bollocks, and it's not good enough, quite frankly. Right, roving gangs of cacti would be quite good fun. Yeah, that would be good. Someone animate the fuck out of that, or I'll just write it into a song. Someone remind me at a later date to turn that into a quite entertaining song. Anyway, so that is our recipe for the Alchemy next week. So we've got that. Okay, back to other things. What else have I been brewing? Continuing Alchemy. I've been making soup. Why am I telling you that? I've been making lunch, yes, but I've been massively. I basically did it today. I made a load of celery soup because I got some leftover celery. Well, I went into the co-op. Other shops are of course available, and they had a shitload of celery that no one wanted it, so I bought all of it. I made a fuck ton of soup for work, and it's one of those weird things with celery. I can't stand raw celery, but cooked celery, really nice. That's not interesting enough to tell you. The interesting thing is, or the silly thing is, that when I made it, I made too much of it, and I don't have any containers to put the soup in. So I was like, what the fuck am I going to do with all this fucking soup? And I found a container. And the only one I could find was this fucking great big gin bottle. So I've now got what looks like a strange soupy liqueur in a London Dry gin bottle. I'm not advocating or selling the product because the fuckers aren't paying me, so bollocks to them. But yeah, it's just the idea I'm going to go into work with this. Put it in the fridge and I'm not going to tell any of them what's going on, so they're going to see this in the work fridge and wonder, what the fuck have you brought in? Because they know that I'm making vegan Baileys, so they might just think this is just horribly separated vegan Baileys. I'm basically, for those listening on the podcast, I'm holding up, which is a really nice soup, But if looking at a soup, it looks great. But if you're thinking this is a creamy liqueur, it looks like vomit. You know what I mean? It's like it reminds me of a great story I was told by one of the chefs when I first started working in kitchens years ago when I left school in the 1900s. There was a great story that my head chef told me when he was still a commie. So when he first started in kitchens, for those who don't work in kitchens, and he was telling me there was this absolute prick of a sous chef that was just going around and just fucking with people, not in a constructive like teaching way. It was just dominance, that kind of toxic bollocks. And so he was working in the kitchen, and his mates were on desserts, and they were making with the chef de partie, they were making creme brulee. And they just made up loads of creme brulees, and they hadn't added the sugar to make the burnt caramel on the top. Maybe I want a creme brulee now. They're fucking tasty. Haven't found a vegan one that's really, really good yet, but one day I will. Anyway, so creme brulees are being made, and so this guy decides he's going to taste one of the creme brulees. Bit of quality testing. Why not? Why not do that? Makes perfect sense. So he gets a spoon and digs it into this massive bowl, ruining the, just smearing it all over the place and making it an absolute mess. And then puts it in his mouth with a look of sort of, fuck you, I'm just doing this because I can, because I'm the head. And then puts it in his mouth and realizes it's duck fat because someone had put them on the same side. And that's all I could think of when looking at that bottle. Is it's almost an expression, isn't it? When you take a sip expecting Baileys and what you get is duck fat, then it's sort of a lesson for life. Just don't be a twat, because if he wasn't a twat, they would have told him. But also, if he wasn't a twat, he would have been able to tell the difference between a small ramekin filled with creme brulee and a fucking oven tray filled with duck fat. I mean, if you're looking at an oven tray the size of an A4 bit of paper, you don't make creme brulee like that. Why would you think that's creme brulee? You fucking bellend. Anyway, that's chef rant out of the way. So, yes, so we've talked about making soup. I mentioned last week I was looking at for the, if you can see behind me, Aubrey, for the audio script audience, is pointing at a shelf with a weird pigeony head thing on there. I'm still doing some bits and pieces of that because I've sort of stopped making videos for that at the moment, not because I've given up on it, it's just I want to get the contact lenses sorted out so then I can do the whole thing, because that's basically all I'm waiting for now. And then once that's done, I can make the video and put it up for you guys to have a look at, because I'm very excited and very proud of it. Problem is, never put contact lenses in before in my life. Last week, for those of you who weren't listening last week, I tried putting contact lenses in, but I kept dropping them in the toilet. And no, I'm not dumb enough to get them up from the toilet, because then I would have had the worst case of pink eye the world's ever fucking seen. So I've decided that I'm going to ask for specialist help to get my contact lenses sorted out. So my friend Kaz and I are going to organise a session where she's going to just teach me how to poke myself in the eye without being upset by it. I was telling Kaz and Emma Maz, two very dear friends of mine. Some of you probably know Maz and Kaz. That I was looking at learning how to do contact lenses and sort them out. And both of them said, the first thing you're going to learn is to get used to poking yourself in the eye. And of course, both of them just looked at and just rubbed their eyeballs. They didn't need to do that. I believe them that they know what they're doing. I'm not going to, and we're in a pub as well. And it's sort of like, what, right now? Let's do it right now. Fuck it, I'm pissed, but why not? Let's try. Let's just. By the way, for those listening, I'm not actually rubbing my eyes. I'm rubbing my eyelid because I don't have the balls to do it yet. But they were just sort of rubbing and massaging their eyeballs, and it was rather unnerving. But apparently, that's what I have to do in a sort of. Is that the contact lens equivalent of wax on, wax off? I don't fucking know. But yeah, so there's that. That's going to be something I need to work on. I've also realised that I've made a terrible mess of the coffee table, which I need to sort out, because last week I mentioned I've been scrubbing Warhammer models so I can sell them on eBay, and to keep my beautiful other half company, rather than spending all my time in the study, I've been taking the stuff that I'm working on into the front room so we can watch movies together, and I'll be sitting there scrubbing or painting or cleaning or whatever, or knitting I'm not knitting. I need to learn to knit. That's my next on my list of mountain of things of what I want to do. But what I was doing is because I had rubbing alcohol and a toothbrush and scrubbing away at years, literal decades of paint on old Hero Quest models. And with the low light, I just thought I'd cleaned everything up. And then when the next day when we put the light on, we realised the entire corner of the table where I was had this lovely grey colour to it. Because what it had done is all the paint, all the waterproof paint, water-based paint had mixed with alcohol and had welded itself onto the table. So there's now this grey, and all the colours are mixed together, so it was grey-brown. So it looked like a sort of clay face had vomited all over the fucking table. So now I have to clean that off because of my own stupidity, because, yeah, I'm an idiot. So, yeah, I ruined the table. Lenny was very happy about that. So, yeah, I need to fix that. But speaking of because I need to, that basically means I need to revarnish it. Because I also realised I've been going around stabbing tables, not in an angry sort of kind of way. Just been doing any kind of crafting. I've just been hand-eye coordination just shit. So amazingly, I haven't cut my hands apart, but I have been stabbing tables. And I realised I should have got one of those, those cutting mats you can get for exactly that job, because I'm ruining all of our furniture. So maybe realise I need to revarnish the table. But whilst thinking about revarnishing, I've been working on something else, because I'm going to varnish my guitar case. Why am I varnishing a guitar case? It's not made of wood. Right. So, for those of you that have seen my solo show, I have my tiny guitar in a tiny tweed case. And I'm just going to bring it over. And for those listening, I'm showing it to the camera. And it is not tweed anymore. Well, the bottom isn't. It's actually covered in Sonic the Comics pages that I've decoupaged the living shit out of the bottom of the guitar case, because all of the tweed came off and was fraying. I'm now holding the tweed up. You can probably hear it on the microphone. So it's gone from tweed to comics. The top of the lid is still tweedy, and I've repaired that with glue. So it looks I'm quite happy with it. But the reason I brought up the varnish is the next stage is to varnish it so it doesn't all come off all over the place. So, yeah, I've got now a very colourful guitar case. And I realised this has taken several layers of decoupaging to make it look good. And, again, that could have been songwriting time. What the fuck is wrong with me? I've got an album to write and all this other stuff. And I've got ideas constantly coming out. And yeah, I just thought, I have to do that now and get that fucking done. It's like, oh, terrible. But that's the thing about this stream. You guys are actually keeping me on track, because I'm remembering, I've got to finish that. And because I don't want to come on the stream and realise I've been talking about that same song for 3 weeks and I haven't done anything more. So you guys, again, thank you for tuning into this, because you are giving me a reason to focus a bit better. I know, sorry, I just bashed the mic, but I know that some of you are watching probably thinking, you are the least focused person I've ever met in my fucking life. How do you remember to breathe in and out? But it's I'm a lot more organised, and part of it is down to you guys, and also the medication I'm on. But I like to think most of it's you, because you're the reason I'm putting these things together, working on the ideas, seeing them through to the finish. Because that was the other thing. I love doing all these different things, and the main thing is to make sure that I actually fucking finish them. Otherwise, it's just a load of half-finished projects. And if it works and it's connected to what I'm doing and it entertains you guys as well, then even better. So. Yeah, Smoking Hyde in the chat saying that I've done that quickly. Yeah, I got excited, and yeah, Edward saying got to get it done fast. Yes, I've got to get it done fast so I can work on the things I'm meant to be working on, as displayed by Exhibit A. This fucking stream basically explains why I keep on getting things wrong. I should have probably done a swearing disclaimer at the start of the show, but fuck it, too late now. I have corrupted any children that are listening. Not in that way. Not in a Savile way. In a Billy Connolly way. Just swearing and teaching them new words. So, yes. Decoupage the fuck out of my guitar case. Loving that. I'm really happy with it. Also, it was very nice to go through my old Sonic the Comics and find these old things. Like, I remember these. I love that book. So yes. So moving on from that, what else has been going on? The the coffee incident. So I mentioned earlier on about reminded me to drink. I'm having a cup of tea. For those of you on the podcast, I'm using my favourite little tea set that I got from the art house when it was closing down. It's a lovely little stainless steel one-person teapot and the most delightfully chintzy tiny tea set. And my own little honey pot, because I'm like Pooh Bear now that he's free from the grasp of Disney copyright. There was let's talk about it very quickly before I go on to the coffee incident. Has anyone actually seen the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey film? Now, it is a slasher film, and I'm not a massive fan of slasher films. Oh, the Human Ewok, howdy, hello, welcome to the stream. So, Blood and Honey, but with the... So basically, I don't know if you followed this. It's one of my favourite things. So, in the UK, and in the US, it's 95 years. In the UK, I think it's 100. It's not far off. But things become public property, public domain. And Winnie the Pooh, last year, became public domain. So basically, you or I can make our own content materials, art, films, books about Winnie the Pooh in the same way that you can about Sherlock Holmes or any Shakespeare play, because after a while you realize it doesn't belong to anyone, so what's the point, because they're all dead or they're not connected, and it's too difficult to keep an eye on everything. And so Disney, of course, don't like that idea, because they're terrified about the thing that's going to happen in the next, I think it's the next 10 years. Over the next 10 years, nearly all the Disney characters, the early ones, are going to become public domain, and they don't like it. And so they've tried to complain and extend the copyright for like Mickey Mouse, for example, and Winnie the Pooh. It's about the fact they didn't create him, but they have the rights. They bought the rights at a certain point. So... but they went to court to try and change the copyright rules so they could continue having that copyright for longer and longer and longer. But someone pointed out it was very simple. You can't do that, because if that's the case, that you can do that and extend it, that means that anyone that has a connection to the Shakespeare family can then claim copyright of any Shakespeare play. And it would also mean that the people that actually own the copyright to the fairy stories that you've been ripping off for years can also claim all the profits from you. So what it would actually cause is an economic disaster. So continuing the copyright for Mickey Mouse would destroy capitalism. It's just hilarious. But so yeah, in the next 10 years, there's going to be all kinds of shenanigans. But what happened is that as soon as Winnie the Pooh, literally they made it and released it, I think not too far from the day that Winnie the Pooh became public property. And they made a horror movie about Winnie the Pooh murdering loads of kids, including Christopher Robin. And it's one of those things, is like, it could have been a really fun idea, and they just made a simple slasher movie, no harm to it. You know, it's if you like that sort of thing, it's there. But it was sort of like, damn, I wish they'd done something spectacular with it. I don't know what it could have been, but you know, a character like that, you could have just gone to town with the Winnie the Pooh movie. And incidentally, if you are on the stream and you're thinking, I'd like to make a Winnie the Pooh kind of movie, all you have to do is draw Winnie the Pooh without a red jumper, because Disney put the red jumper on him to differentiate from the original materials so they could show what was officially Disney. So the little yellow bear and Piglet and all these other characters are now returning to A.A. Milne's original idea, and you can make whatever you like with them. You can call him Pooh Bear if you make it into a movie, just don't wear him in a shirt. If he's naked, he's free, because clothes are theft. We've all learned that. Right. So, Mickey Mouse destroying capitalism would be an amazing curveball. It would, and it would be one of those things that no one would have on their 2020 bingo card, that's for sure. And also from the chat, Smoke and Hyde said maybe Winnie the Pooh will be in Paddington 3. That is the fucking Avengers-style crossover I want to see. That's the British Avengers, just all the animal characters from like Victorian and Edwardian British novellas. That would be just so good. I would, yeah. Fuck Captain America, Paddington and Pooh Bear. That's the fucking team up I want to see. Anyway, that's just me. So there was kind of a point. No, it was the caffeine. Well, yeah. So that was just funny. That reminded me of the coffee running out. I was just Yogi Poo, Paddington, and Bungle. Oh, great! That's the fucking hero group, isn't it? Just the best bears. And also the Chicago Bears and Bristol Bears. Two sporting teams coming in to help their friends. But yeah, so I got tangented there. I've out tangented myself, and I can't remember. And Rupert, oh fucking hell, Rupert will probably be like the sort of Charlie to Charlie's Angels, wouldn't he? All right, chaps, sit down. We got some shenanigans to plan. I know that's not what Rupert sounded like, but you know, fuck it. I do remember at one point watching Rupert the Bear, and because there's a really good series that was made by a Canadian animation program, made a Canadian animation team. And I remember realizing, because they do put pretty good English accents on. This was the time when Americans could not do English accents. And they put Rupert the Bear on. It was Canadian, so they could do really good English accents. And then the only reason they got it wrong is when they said certain words and phrases that were not English, like they said the word math. But instead of saying math, they said it with a soft A. So they said math. So I'm going to math class. It was like, what? There's the vocal equivalent of an uncanny valley kind of thing. And the other one was someone said instead of saying pasty, they said pasty, which was very, very odd. It's like, and then I realized that Canada doesn't have pasties. Oh my God, we need to get pasties to Canada right now. I mean, sorry, another tangent within a tangent. That's what's this entire thing is going to keep happening. Anyway, so yes, right. Coffee incident. I've been making I'm making my own Baileys, and I've been trying to make my own lattes because Greg's raised my expectations and then shattered them by bringing in vegan hazelnut lattes with oat milk and then taking them away again because they didn't have the separate materials or utensils or something. So for a while I discovered and got into lattes like an absolute basic bitch. I had pumpkin spice lattes to the wazoo. And then they took them away from me. So I decided, fuck you, Greg's. Well, not all Greg's, because I do like their baps and the sausage rolls, if you know what I mean. So I decided to try and make my own. So I've been trying to refine my own oat milk latte with hazelnut thing. So I bought all the bits and pieces, and I finally got it cracked at work today. But I realised I'd been thinking about the amount of coffee that I was meant to put in the Baileys rather than my coffee. So I put 2 tablespoons of instant coffee inside a regular cup of coffee, and I was tripping fucking balls in the office today. I had to be given 2 fidget spinners to calm the fuck down, and I nearly had heart palpitations. I don't drink, as you may have seen from the way my brain is, I don't use stimulants that much. My brain should not be on stimulants. It's too much. And so, yeah, Red Bull really works for me if I want to stay up late. If I'm at a pub and I'm feeling it flagging, if I have a can of Red Bull, I don't go to sleep that night. That's how little I take any kind of stimulant, because they really work on me. So I was fucking tripping balls on that shit. And so it went a bit weird and sideways. And then when I got home, I tried to, I was trying to decant some of this hazelnut, Movin stuff, the syrups. And I was trying to decant it into a smaller thing so I could take it to work. And I basically I just had this strange spasm for no reason, and then tipped this fucking hazelnut stuff all over the kitchen. So my kitchen now smells like hazelnuts. So I've got a hazelnut smelling kitchen. All of my tables are covered in grey goop. My guitar case is decoupaged to bollocks, and I've got loads of like fermenting booze just in my in my office. That's what's going on in my life. It's just mooning. That's the shit. Yes. Like a human Osprey helicopter. What? All right. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so I've been a complete and utter disaster, but having a smashing time. So, right, we're coming towards. We're getting through the list of what I've been, because this has been a very fun but completely sort of. Is it procrastinating if you're actually doing things? That's a question. I'll leave you guys to work that out. If I'm not doing the work I'm meant to, and I'm doing other things. Is that procrastinating still? I don't know. The dual-wielding fidget spinners. That's what we mean by human osprey. Yes, now I get it. In both hands, spilling. Yes, I can picture the helicopter in my head now. For some reason, I was thinking Lynx. Wrong helicopter. Not the fucking spray. It's the helicopter. That's another thing for me. We'll probably bring in talking about tanks and helicopters because I like tanks and helicopters, but that's for another day. But yes, I now completely get that image, and I hope you guys get it at home and I'm not just repeating the word osprey over and over and over again. And I mean the helicopter, not the shit rugby team. Oh, Welsh rugby, what has happened to you? I mean, it's easy to take the piss out of it, but it's such a sad state of affairs. Anyway, that's another podcast in itself. Yes, I'm going to need your help, and I'm going to need everyone's help in a bit, because not in this stream, but just generally over the next few weeks after I get all of the advertising stuff out of the way. I just need to plug my phone in before the battery runs out again. There we go. I've been making sock puppets at all the shows to sing a story about dragons. And I've forgotten the names of some of them, and I've forgotten who's made what. So what I'm going to do is do a rogues gallery of my dragons, and get people to claim them and put the names to them, and also so I can send the blue Aubrey badges. So keep an eye out on social media when I get this sorted. Once I get the badges sorted and we choose the right badge, then I'm going to get all of these things, because I realise what I want to do is I want to archive my gigs more with photographs, but I don't want to take photographs of me with the audience, because after a while they all look the same, and they are great fun, and I like changing things up, and I want it to be fun and memorable. And I think a silly photograph with a little mad sock puppet dragon, with the person with the blue Peter badge with the blue Aubrey badge, I don't want to get sued by Blue Peter, that'd be embarrassing, would be really good fun, and really individual, and it'd be great stuff to look at, rather than just the same photograph over and over and over and over again. Not criticizing other people, this is just how my brain works. Anyway, so yes, if you see that on social media, and if you've made a dragon and you have a photograph of it, and when you spot your dragon, remind me of the name, send it to me, we'll put it all up, we'll give them all names, and then I'll put name badges on them, because that's the next thing. I'll remember them if they have name badges. So that's sock puppets and the Wall of Fame. Oh yes, the other thing I've been trying to fix is my bike. This has been an ongoing thing, because I've been trying to go to get my bloody Christmas cards and sort it out. So this, holding up, is a cassette for, not an audio cassette, this is a bike gear cassette for the back wheel. It is shiny and new, as you may have noticed. I've had this for a month. This is meant to be on my bike. It is not on my bike. It's meant to be fixed on my bike by using one of these, what I'm holding up, which is called a chain whip, which goes over the chain, holds it in place so you can unscrew it and pop it off the bike and replace it with a new one. My bike behind me, as you can see, has not got the shiny one. It's got the knackered old one, which is the chain is slipping. And if I hold this up, you will be able to see what the problem is. I'm currently showing the tail whip to the camera. It looks normal. If I turn it sideways, you can see the fucking problem. It is bent over like it's about to do a dive into a swimming pool. This is what happened when Mike and I tried to remove the old cassette. I bent the fucking chain whip. It's designed to undo it, and I broke it. So now I still have the shiny gearing on. This is the problem. I now have to send it to a shop to fix it, but I have no money because I haven't been paid yet. So I have to wait until I get paid to send someone to fix the fucking bike. I have had this for far too long. It is meant to be on the bike now, and it is not, and it is irritating me. And every time I see it on my desk, it is like it is a tiny sprocketed ball of failure, and it is fucking me off. And quite frankly, I just want the bike to be fixed. Because I know inevitably, when that is put on the bike, something else will break, because that's what happens when you buy a bike. Shite indeed, human Ewok. Shite indeed. But anyway, right. We are coming towards the end. It's because the last bit we're going, because we're coming up to 45 minutes. I have been rather proudly, again, I'm showing some bits up to the camera. I have been putting, this is my Aubrey stamp that I'm showing up to the camera. I don't know if you can see this because the camera's a bit shit, but I'm holding up a wax seal to the camera with a little A on it. This I have been using to seal all of the Christmas cards I've been sending out. So those of you on Patreon, expect your Christmas cards soon from the Sweet Chunks Band and from myself. That doesn't mean I'm doing one of those things of like, oh, I only send Christmas cards out to people who follow me on Patreon. It's because the people that follow me on Patreon, you put your address in. So I thought I'd send you cards to say thanks. If you want, message me with your address and I'll happily send a Christmas card out, because you know what? I fucking like sending Christmas cards. Mainly because I love sitting around in the dark, lit by candles like it's fucking Wolf Hall, making rubber these stamps and putting them out and sending them to the post office. What's great is that every time I go, there's a post office in Bitton in Southampton near where the office where I'm currently working is. And the post office is run by the surliest British Asian family. The mum, proper mama of their family, always face like a slapped ass until one of her mates makes a joke, so then a massive grin piles on her face, and then immediately swamps back down to just, oh, I work in a shop. But you can see she fucking loves it, but just looks miserable. You know, the perfect person to work in a shop. Full control over the situation, clearly really loves what they do, but is just fucked off with everything. I love that kind of person, and they do a great job, and they're fucking miserable. But what is great is the look on their face every time I go in with a stack of Christmas cards, clearly Christmas cards, buying stamps with a fucking seal on the back, like a Tudor prince, and they just don't know what to do. And I just go, can I have 14 stamps, please? And just there with my Christmas cards and looking at it going, what? Why? And I was saying this to a friend. I love post offices and stuff like that. I like going into my bank. Yeah, I use my banking app all the time. It's really convenient, but I do like putting things in my bank. What I find really dumb is that banks, post offices, all these places are finding out other reasons for you to not go in by giving you things that make life easier. This, for me, is them trying to logically get rid of their job or make them redundant in a long-term way. Because I used to be with Barclays Bank, that can go fuck themselves, and what they started doing was removing all of the tellers and replacing them with machines, and then the staff would tell you to use the machines, and then after a while they fired all the fucking staff. And then they got rid of the branches. And I was in Nationwide, where I currently bank, not an endorsement, I just use them because they've always been nearby. They started doing the thing of having the member of staff. It's like, no, guys, I know how to use the machines. I use the app. I want to go to your teller because I'm the weird guy wearing a ridiculous cardigan, quite often wearing makeup with a massive beard and a half-shaved head, with all of my correspondence with wax seals, because I want to keep your community thing open, because it's more fun to speak to a person than it is to send everything by the computer. I like shops for the same reason. I love record shops and libraries and bookshops for the same reason. I like going into